Hello everyone, sorry it's been a little while since I've last posted something. Life's been a little bit busy, but I'm back here today, and today I'm going to try and do a little bit of explaining about how to read music, which is such a long and complicated topic. I could do probably 10,000 videos on this, but I'm going to do just a very short introduction today to the basics of kind of working out how to read the music. So today, for example, I've been playing this. I'll bring this a little bit closer so you can see. So you can see loads of different shapes, squiggles, things going on the page, which if you're not a musician or you've never read music before, probably looks completely confusing and bizarre, which is completely understandable. Reading music is like learning to read another language. It's kind of like learning to read something completely different, like Greek or Chinese, or an alphabet which is completely different to our own. So today I'm going to go through how to work out what the different letters are, the different note names, and how to recognise those on the page. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this. This is a giant version of what we've just had a look at on the page there, and this is something called the stave. The stave is the word that we use to describe this kind of line and spaces thing going on here. It's a little bit like a step ladder. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in this lower section, and in between the lines we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So when you see notes, they're going to be written on either a line or a space. So a note might have a line going through the middle of it, which I'll just draw for you. Okay, so you can see there I've drawn a circle and the line is going through the middle of the circle. Or we may have a note which lives in a space. Sorry, this is really badly drawn. There's a note there sitting in the space between two lines. So that's the first thing that we have to understand. We will have notes drawn either on a line or in a space. And the way that it works is we kind of can step up from one note to the next by stepping up these lines and spaces. So this one here, this is the note of G, and we step up one note to this line and we get to the note of A. So just a quick recap on the musical alphabet. The musical alphabet is the same as our normal alphabet, except it only goes up to G. So we go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we start again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So after the letter G comes the letter A, because we're starting again from the beginning. So that's why we go here from the note of G up to the note of A. Hopefully that's making sense so far. What I'm going to do today is try to sort of explain or show you what we call landmark notes. So I'm always banging on about this in lessons, trying to teach my pupils these kind of 3 key landmark notes, and the idea is if they can learn these 3 notes and recognise them instantly, just be able to point at it and say that's middle C, for example, that's going to help them to then work out other notes from there. So let's go through what the 3 landmark notes are. I'm going to draw the first one. Okay, so hopefully you can see this one here, which I've just drawn. Now this one here is what we call middle C. And middle C, particularly on the piano, is kind of the starting point for everything. So on the piano, this note that I'm playing here is middle C, and it's called that because it's basically the middle note of the piano. So it joins the high notes, which then go up from middle C, with the low notes which are going down from middle C. So anything kind of written underneath middle C down here is going to be the low end of the piano. Anything above middle C is going to be the higher end of the piano. Okay, so this one here is middle C. And we can remember middle C, the way I teach my little kiddies to remember middle C, is that it's got its own line going through the middle of it, and we think of this line as being like the cat's whiskers coming out the side of the cat's face. So C for cat has got the little whisker line either side of its face. So that's how we can remember what middle C looks like, okay? The next landmark note that I'm going to show you, I'm just going to draw it on here. Hopefully you can see there. This is called treble clef G, okay? This is a note which we play in the right hand when we're playing the piano. And basically the way we can find this quickly and easily is that it sits on this line here, which goes through the curly bit of this thing called the treble clef. So this sign is called the treble clef. Here's the kind of swirly curly bit in the middle, and along that line is the note of G. If I was to kind of draw around this circle part of the treble clef and the tail part like this, it would start to look a little bit like the letter G. It's hard to show you quite on here, but if you were to draw it out, it's got a circle and a little tail, just like the letter G. So the line that goes through the middle of it is the G line. Hopefully that's making sense so far. So we have learned middle C, that one there, and treble clef G, which is that one there. Two landmark notes which are really, really useful to memorise. The third one, which I'm going to show you, is, I'll just draw it. Okay, so this one here, sorry, it's a bit unwieldy with this board, sorry. This note here is bass clef F, okay, and this lives in the lower section, which we call the bass clef section. This is the lower notes. And if you go again through this little curly bit of the bass clef, trace it along, trace that line along with your finger, and you get here, this is the F line, so we call this the note of F. So to recap, we've got bass clef F, we've got middle C, and we've got treble clef G. And as much as pupils can, if you can memorise these three notes, memorise their names, memorise where they live on these lines and spaces, this is really going to help you with recognising notes on the page. When you come to look at a big complicated piece of music with loads of notes, if you can zone in on those three just to begin with, they're going to be sort of like your anchors to then work up and down from there and work out other notes. So for example, we know that this one here is bass clef F and it lives on a line. So if I was to draw a note in here, one note higher than bass clef F, we've reached the note of G, because it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, and then G in the next space. One note up, one letter up in the alphabet is G. Sorry, that's quite complicated. If you don't read music or you don't understand how to read music, that it is quite a complicated thing, and there are many, many layers to it. I hope that for now that gives a little bit of an introduction into how the lines and spaces work, how we kind of step up and then we step back down, going up one note each time, going up one letter in your alphabet each time, or down one letter in the alphabet, down one note as you step down the lines and spaces. And I hope having those three notes as the kind of landmark notes will give you a starting point to then work out other notes from there. So it's middle C in the middle bit with the cat's whiskers either side. We've got treble clef G, which is on this top bit here, which sits on the G line, and we've got bass clef F down in the lower bit, which sits on the F line, and from there we work out other notes. I hope that makes sense. If not, just contact me, drop me a message, drop me an email, give me a call. Always happy to answer any questions about this or explain things in more detail if they're not making sense, but hopefully for now that's a little introduction. And I will do some more posts on this because there's loads more we can do about how to read the music, so I'll do something else on this hopefully in the not too distant future. Thank you, bye!